Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Jesus all shared the same language, which is the South Arabian language spoken by southern Misr, Abyssinia and Yemen. Since all the prophets come from the lineage of Adam, these are they on whom Allah bestowed favours from among the prophets of the seed of Adam. Then do not forget that Adam is the father of humanity, and that scientists have proven that the Abyssinian highlands is the cradle of humanity, as they found there the very first human being to walk on the surface of the earth. According to DNA tests, they prove that the origins of humanity were black. Search in the Tor or the Abyssinian highlands for the book written in organised lines on an unrolled goat skin. You will find the secret in this book. In the heart of the Abyssinian highlands, the Tor, and inside of the city of Aksua, now called Aksum in Tigray, the oldest Bible on earth has been discovered. The writing is organised in fine letters in the Abyssinian language Ge'ez, a South Arabian language, as if it was written by a typewriter, and in beautiful colours as if it was written recently. While its pages are straight and not flipped, the pages of the Bible are made from dried goat skin, or rek as it is called in Arabic. This is very significant because the skin of the goat, or rek, is an organic material that contains carbon atoms which can be recognised by radiated carbon testing to clearly identify the age of the document. According to these tests, it is the oldest Bible in the world, dating back to 330 AD, or more than 2,000 years. The local monks believe that this book holds magic properties. It has been preserved as one book without any damage or deterioration to the beauty of its writings and colours over time. Despite the Italian colonisation of Abyssinia and a fire in the church, the book is still perfectly preserved. You'll find in this book 3 important pieces of information. First, the Jerusalem Temple is located in the Abyssinian highlands. The Tor. The theologians Judas Mackenzie and Francis Watson have deciphered the oldest Bible, the Bible of the Abyssinian highlands, the Tor. And while exploring the pictures in the Bible, they came across a very famous one that's present in every Bible throughout history. The picture of the Jerusalem Temple. And to their surprise, this picture of the Jerusalem Temple is the Abyssinian Temple. The picture of the Abyssinian Temple is well known for its square, wide-framed, blind windows subdivided by a cross that are later found on the rock-cut churches at Lalibela. Second, in this book, which has been proved by carbon dating to be the oldest Bible on earth, is a picture of Jesus as a dark-skinned person with curly dark hair, and not the Caucasian that is present in many other churches. Also, the pictures of Mary show her as a dark African woman, different from the pictures of Mary elsewhere. The Holy Family started from the south, from Abyssinia, passing through Sudan by the valley of the Nile up until it reached Asyut in Egypt as we know it today. The Holy Family established the first worship place, which is now known as the Church of Miriam in Deir al-Marek in Asyut. It is not a surprise that this church now holds significant status around the world, because it is the only church built by Jesus himself and is obviously considered a tourist attraction. The Holy Family lived in Asyut for 6 months and 10 days, which is considered the longest time they spent in one place during their journey in Misr, which means Egypt plus Sudan, and until the Abyssinian highlands where the river Nile originates. The essence of the problem is replacing Misr in recent Bibles with Egypt as we know it today. Hence, the journey of the Holy Family had to follow the borders of Egypt, which restricted the journey to start at Palestine, passing through the Sinai Desert and northern Egypt, ending in Asyut, and a return journey from Asyut to Palestine. It also becomes difficult to comprehend how the Holy Family managed to travel through the hardships of the deserts in Sinai and Palestine on the back of donkeys, instead of believing that they'd had a seamless journey along the Nile Valley, passing through greenery and fertile lands with abundant water and crops in their paths from Abyssinia all the way to Asyut. The Vatican's narrative around the Holy Family's journey from Palestine to Asyut might not be as convincing as the story documented in the oldest Bible, written more than 2,000 years ago and preserved in the Abyssinian highlands, the Tor. This book, which has been proved by carbon dating to be the oldest Bible on earth, states that the trip started from Abyssinia all the way to Asyut and back to Abyssinia. Precisely, it's stated where it ended at the land of Tana in the Abyssinian Tor.
If you search on Google Earth, you will find that the front wall of the church of Mary in Asyut is perpendicular to the northern corner of the temple of Yeha, Beit el-Maqdis, where the Ark of Covenant was preserved in the city of Aksua, now called Aksum in Tigray. Following this tradition, churches everywhere are supposed to face the temple of Yeha. The fact that the Bible that is preserved in Abyssinian highlands, the Torah, goes back to more than 2,000 years ago proves that it is the original biblical source. The original biblical source. The original biblical source.
What if I tell you that the Yeha temple is the actual place that used to hold the true Ark of the Covenant before it was moved to the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Ethiopia? This church is surrounded by tight security and no one is allowed to approach it except for one priest who spends his life inside and has to be a descendant of Prophet Solomon. The Yeha temple is the sacred house, Bayat al-Muqaddas, that people raised on the Torah, the Abyssinian highlands, referring to the house frequented, or al-Bayt al-Mamur, before the rise of Islam and Christianity. So what is this Tabut, or Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant is the most important religious artifact for the three monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam. For Muslims it is called Tabut al-Sakina, or Ark of Tranquility. It was mentioned in the Quran in verse 248 al-Surat al-Baqarah. And further their prophet said to them, a sign of his authority is that there shall come to you the Ark of the Covenant, the Tabut, with an assurance therein of security from your Lord, and the relics left by the family of Moses and the family of Aaron, carried by angels. In this is a symbol for you, if ye indeed have faith. The key question here is, where is the Ark of the Covenant? Where is the chest that contained the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments? Its current location is the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Abyssinia, and as we mentioned before, it was previously held in the Yeha temple, which is also referred to as Bayt al-Muqaddas. It's pertinent here to further examine the reasons we believe that the Yeha temple, or Bayt al-Muqaddas, is the sacred place that preserved the Ark of the Covenant. First, Bayt al-Muqaddas is an Abyssinian Ge'ez word meaning the place of worship where you put the Ark of the Covenant, the Tabut. Yeha temple was the place that preserved the Ark before it moved to its current location. As for the area that is called Bayt al-Maqdis, that we know in Palestine right now, it was not called that during the time the Muslims entered Egypt. This area was called Il-Iliya, and the proof lies in the covenant of Omar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliphate to Prophet Muhammad. When Muslims entered Palestine, Omar established this covenant with the indigenous population, which is known as the Covenant of Omar, and it has been saved until now as an official artifact that shows the tolerance of Muslims with their neighbours. In this covenant, Omar offered security and protection to all the residents of Palestine after the lands were opened by Amr bin al-As and Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah. Omar wrote in his covenant, "In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, this is the assurance of safety which the servant of God, Umar, the commander of the faithful, has given to the people of Il-Iliya. He has given them an assurance of safety for themselves, for their property, their churches, their crosses, the sick and healthy of the city, and for all the rituals which belong to their religion. Their churches will not be inhabited by Muslims and will not be destroyed. Neither they, nor the land on which they stand, nor their cross, nor their property will be damaged." This implies that the region in Palestine that we refer to as Bayt al-Maqdis did not hold such a name back then. Rather, it was called Il-Iliya. It's time for another important question. Since Bayt al-Maqdis is on the Abyssinian highlands, the Torah, does this imply that Jerusalem has to be there as well? You might be surprised to know that in the heart of the Abyssinian highlands and in one of the most sacred cities in Christianity, known as Lalibela, there are 11 temples, or now churches, carved in the rocks. Together, they represent the biggest compound of harmonious temples in the world, and since 1978, they are considered UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The age of these temples, or now churches, is unknown, but the local stories say that they started to carve them in the age of King Lalibela, who ruled Abyssinia at the beginning of the 13th century. African archaeologists and scholars, however, have proved that the carving started centuries before that, as they have found archaeological evidences and digging tools dating back to centuries BC. They were named Lalibela in the memory of King Lalibela. These temples, or churches, are structured in a totally contradictory way to other buildings in the world. They were not built from bottom to top. In fact, they were carved out from top to bottom, and church scholars say